Hugh Glass was a 19th century American frontiersman, famous for exploring the watershed of the upper Missouri River. What gained him the status of a national hero is an endeavor he made as a fur trapper in 1823, when he famously survived a brutal bear attack. While scouting for food along the Grand River in 1823, Hugh Glass ran into an enraged grizzly bear mother, who attacked him to defend her two cubs. Unable to reach his rifle as they wrestled on the ground, Glass was able to escape from her death grip and stab her with his knife while she shredded his face, chest, arm, and back with her claws. His wounds were so gruesome that his fellow trappers simply placed a bear hide over him as a funeral shroud and left him for dead, so they could get out of the hostile territory and away from the Native Americans who had recently killed half of their crew. With pretty much anyone else, the whole horrendous story would have ended there, but not Hugh Glass. When Glass eventually regained consciousness, he set his own leg, wrapped himself in his bear hide shroud, and started crawling along the banks of the Cheyenne River. During the insane trek across country that followed, he prevented gangrene from infecting his wounded back by lying on a rotting log and allowing maggots to eat his dead flesh. He sustained himself by killing and eating rattlesnakes, and crawled overland for 6 weeks until he reached civilization, which was baffled and impressed to see him alive. Juliane Koepcke is a German zoologist, and even though she's made contributions in her field, she's more famous for being a plane crash survivor. In the early 70s, at the age of 17, Juliane was on a flight from Lima to Pucallpa with her mother when the plane was struck by lightning. Juliane was the sole survivor of the plane crash, which fell a total of 2 miles from the sky. She was strapped to her seat and landed in a rainforest, with injuries of a concussion, broken collarbone, a gash to her right arm, and her right eye swollen shut. The sweets she found while checking for survivors ended up being her only food. She followed a small stream, expecting it to lead her to civilization. After 9 sleep-deprived days spent in knee-high water with an empty stomach, Koepcke finally came across a boat belonging to lumbermen, who tended to her wounds and eventually got her to safety. Simo Häyhä was a Finnish farmer and hunter living on the present-day border between Finland and Russia, who joined the Finnish militia at the early age of 20. This seemingly average young man turned into a legendary sniper, nicknamed White Death. Häyhä was a remarkable shot who broke all known records. During a 100-day period, he managed to kill 500 soldiers of the Red Army, reaching a remarkable number of 5 successful hits per day. Häyhä operated during the very few daily hours of sunlight, in white camouflage, in temperatures between -40 and -20 degrees Celsius. The Soviets put his murder as a priority and attempted to kill him with counter-snipers and artillery strikes, but failed repeatedly. In March 1940, Häyhä was finally hit. An explosive bullet hit him in the lower left jaw and took off half of his face. Still, Häyhä didn't die. Remarkably, he pulled through and lived to see the end of the fighting. Even though the bullet had crushed his jaw and blew off his left cheek, Häyhä managed to make a full recovery. Karapetyan is a 17-time world champion Soviet-Armenian fin swimmer. Although a prominent name in the obscure underwater sport, Karapetyan is actually best known for the incident which made him retire. In 1976, while training with his brother alongside a lake, Karapetyan witnessed a trolleybus crash, with 92 passengers inside. The trolleybus fell from a dam wall and splashed at the bottom of a 10-meter deep reservoir. Karapetyan ran to the rescue and single-handedly rescued 20 people from the sinking bus. Karapetyan managed to break into the trolleybus and, with barely any visibility and very little time, pull 20 passengers up to safety. Unfortunately, the combined effect of cold water and the multiple wounds he received led to him falling into a 45-day coma. He awoke a hero, but never managed to recover completely. His heroics sadly ended his career, but saved many lives. Karapetyan repeated his heroism 10 years later, when he rescued people trapped in a burning building, which made him become a household name. Roy Benavidez was a former member of the United States Army Special Forces who was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions in Vietnam. He is best known for surviving the impossible. He went to save his comrades who were outnumbered. The helicopter couldn't land because of the intense small arms fire, so he jumped from the hovering helicopter around 30 to 50 feet in the air. He then had to run 75 meters to his comrades, where he was shot in the leg, face, and head on the way. Once he got there, he started rescuing his squad mates, and while he was doing so, got shot in the gut and took a grenade to the back. After all of this, he was miraculously still mobile and still going. Roy then found out the helicopter he previously jumped from had crashed, so he went and rescued the wounded pilot from the wreckage and proceeded to call in airstrikes and call for another rescue attempt. He was shot in the thigh a couple more times, and on his trip to the backup rescue chopper, he was beaten and stabbed by an enemy, who he then killed in hand-to-hand combat. Once he finally made it back to the chopper, he then allowed his comrades to pull him in. When they arrived back to the base, he was pronounced dead and put into a body bag. As they were zipping up the body bag, he had only the strength to spit to let them know he was still alive. He survived these wounds and received the Medal of Honor.